Good morning and welcome to the regular meeting of City Council for Tuesday, January 11th, 2021. I have one meeting announcement for the beginning of the meeting. Council members are encouraging virtual public participation as there is limited seating in council chambers due to the rising numbers of COVID infections in the area. All meetings will be live streamed on the city's website and on the City Channel Pittsburgh YouTube channel. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess, Mr. Coghill,
Here.
Ms. Gross, Mr. Kraus,
Here.
Mr. Lavelle,
Here.
Mr. O'Connor,
Here.
Strasburger,
Here.
Mr. Wilson, Mrs. Kell Smith, President.
Here.
6 members present.
Thank you. As we join from our remote locations and in person, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment of silence. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Madam Clerk, I have on here, there's a motion to amend the agenda. Okay. Okay, because of our new rule, we're asking on the agenda. Is there any motions to amend the agenda? No?
Correct. No,
Thank
Madam
you.
President.
That moves us on to our next order of business, which is proclamations. We have no proclamations to be read into the record or to be presented. Our next order of business is public comment, and I would like to remind everyone that the rules of council state that comments are limited to matters of concern, official action, or deliberation which are or may be before city council. Threats and profanity will not be permitted. May we have the first speaker, please? And the first registered speaker I have is Dr. Ronald Lynn Miller. Dr. Miller. Good morning.
Dr. Ronald and Miller, Belsuver, Helena, Montana, Montevideo, Uruguay, Global Intelligence Society, U.S. National Candidate 2024, a member of the American Society for Microbiology, globalintelligencesociety.org. We seek to establish parallel alternative governance in Pittsburgh and across the United States based on optimal information intelligence coming from the 21 primary disciplines. Under the DP, Democratic Party, Pittsburgh has gone from more than 650,000 people in 1950 to less than 330,000 in 2020. My parents, Republicans, left this city for that reason. A concern of council is the inauguration ceremony. IC 3 January 2022. It is mine also. 1, Allegheny County Chief Executive Rich Fitzgerald said at the IC regarding SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19, quote, "None of us could have foreseen it." Wrong, a lie. 1, foreseen it was during post-SARS-CoV-1 analysis. 2, foreseen by researchers at the Pittsburgh Virology Center. 3, foreseen in microbiologist work vastly published in the subdiscipline of virology. Fitzgerald's informational precision on this is 0. Biogenetic intelligence, 0. Mr. Gainey said nothing in his comments to correct Fitzgerald, so the only conclusion that I can reach is the Gainey's is also 0. 2, Mr. Gainey said nothing to confirm vote by voter verification in his remarks at the IC. He did not challenge the vote certificate numbers for councilors or for himself, disconfirming the right of U.S. and Pittsburgh's voters to check to determine if our votes have been misassigned or lost, showing that fundamentally he is anti-voter. On this, 0. 2, 3, Mr. Gainey said nothing to castigate the exclusion of public comment by citizens in the IC, showing that he is fundamentally anti-free speech. Anti-USC Amendment 1 free speech clause, and so again, a 0. 4, Mr. Gainey said nothing to criticize the absence at the IC of ethnic equity. As far as I could tell, there were no Native Americans, no Asians, no Latins, showing that he is anti non-Black African Pittsburghers, maybe a few whites, so very close to a 0. And 5, Mr. Gainey said nothing to condemn in the IC inclusion of religious theism in the oath of office, so help me God, violating the HR, the Home Rule Charter, inclusion of the religion of Christianity via invocation and benediction, and exclusion of non-Christian religions, showing that he is pro-religion, anti-non-religion, pro-Christian, anti-non-Christian, in violation of USD Amendment 1 religion clause, and so is 0. How can you govern
Thank
at
you.
0?
Our next speaker is Naomi Mullen. Naomi Mullen.
Good morning.
Good morning, Naomi, and my condolences to you on the passing of your husband.
Thank you. Shady trees, not shady deals in Bon Air. We, the people of Bon Air, have significant investment into our properties. We stand to lose significant value financially and quality of life reduction. The largest investment that the average American will make is their home. Our biggest assets are being threatened. This is why we as a community have expressed significant concern about the potential development of Bon Air School into anything other than a green space. We already had a valuable school stolen from our community. We deserve a valuable green space to replace it. The Pennsylvania Constitution states under political powers that all power is inherent in the people, and all free governments are founded on their authority and instituted for their peace, safety, and happiness. Negligent infliction of emotional distress and blockbusting are being perpetrated by those who oppose our community. Real damages are occurring to the Bon Air community. I have no doubt that this controversy was a contributing factor to the demise of my husband. The PPS created this controversy against us, we, the property owners of Bon Air. My husband did his duty to promote the peace, safety, and happiness of the people he served. Will you, as elected public servants, do your duty to help the people of Bon Air? My husband, Michael, was duty-bound his entire adult life. He completed his mission on earth well. He is now one of the watchers and helping in the spiritual realm. He is still a force with us. He accomplished a life well lived and especially a life well loved. It's obvious that he was here with me. I was able to complete this. Thank you, Michael. Shady trees, not shady deals in Bon Air.
Thank you, Naomi. And I just want to add that Michael, Naomi's husband, was a Pittsburgh firefighter. And our next speaker is Marcia Bandies. Marcia. Marcia on the. Let's see her on
Okay,
this one.
hi, yes, this is Marcia Bandies. I'm from Squirrel Hill. I'm here to voice my opposition to Pittsburgh hosting the Republican National Convention. Many of the Congress people who will be attending voted against the confirmation of President Biden, and they continue to support the big lie that Trump actually won. These legislators are no less insurrectionists than those who stormed our Capitol. These are the same legislators who voted against the impeachment of then President Trump for his role in inciting the insurrection, even though he sat for 3 hours and watched the brave police fight off the attack. These are the same legislators who on January 6th called the president and his chief of staff frightened and begging for the president to stop the attack, but have since changed their story and voted against even having a commission investigate what happened and what led up to January 6th. They continue to reconfirm to their constituents that our election process is riddled with fraud. They sit quietly by or worse, join in as their Democratic colleagues and some Republican colleagues receive death threats against themselves and their families. Are these really the people we want to invite to our city? How many of you remember how militarized Pittsburgh was during the 2009 G20? We had over 4,600 armed personnel patrolling our streets. It was supposed to be an economic boon, but many of the restaurants and stores downtown suffered because so many of the streets were blocked off. And the US government paid for most of the protection for this international event. Who's going to pay for it this time? I don't want my tax dollars going to those lying, violence inciting legislators and their constituents, and not a dime for concessions. Who do we think the Republican convention is going to attract? A bunch of pacifists? No. Thousands of pro-big lied people from all over the country, as well as thousands of pro-democracy people. What are the plans to keep them apart? Mayor Gainey ran on police accountability. What kind of accountability can there be when thousands of out-of-town armed personnel are patrolling our streets, keeping the peace? Lastly, we are a swing state. Why do we want to help these liars, these insurrectionists pouring into our state, county, and city, giving them access to our voters to spread their lies and energize their Pennsylvania base, to egg on the Republican members of our state General Assembly and their lied to, misled constituents to try and pass all sorts of voting restrictions? I don't have any idea why Mayor Gainey invited them to our beautiful city. For the economic boost, it's blood money. We need to rescind the invitation. Tell the RNC that we cannot afford to host the Republican convention. And it is the truth on so many levels. Thank you.
The next speaker is Kip Dawson. Kip Dawson. One. Kip Dawson. One last time, Kip Dawson. Our next registered speaker is Ikahana Helmakina. Ikahana Helmakina.
Greetings.
Good morning.
Madam,
My title is Hal Makina. I'm the Grand Inca of the Iroquois Confederacy of Aborigine American People, also known as Indigenous American Indians. According to Article 1, Section 2, Clause 3 in the Constitution, it states, and excluding Indians not taxed. We are the Onkwe Homwe. We are the Rotanosuni. We are the people of the land. We are the people who are to be the rightful stewards of the land. And provisions must be made within City Council to make sure that we are not denied that right and have access to our land, our sacred land, places, and spaces. In addition to that, I wanted to speak about last week's snarl of snow in the city of Pittsburgh. On Friday, many of people traveling about the land experienced delays, accidents, perhaps even a near-death experience sliding off of a road, and undue car repairs. As I traveled through Clairton, and this is my own eyewitness testimony, as I traveled through Clairton, East McKeesport, Wilmerding on this day, to name a few, Homestead and Wilkinsburg, their streets were clean. And I'm not sure why the Public Works Director, I would not put this on the Gainey administration, only the Gainey administration should look to fix it. But Public Works has an atmosphere and a culture, developed a culture of doing the bare minimum. So if these small boroughs have it right and we're able to remove approximately only 3 inches of snow, then how is it that the city of Pittsburgh found it hard to be proactive and treat the roads to make sure the motorists and the travelers were able to get safely to and from their destinations? And I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you. That exhausts our list of registered speakers. Is there anyone in the audience that wishes to address City Council? And I see you, Mr. Ludwig, standing at the podium, so please.
thank you, Madam President.
Thank you. Good morning.
My name is Les Ludwig. I live at 6589 Rosemore Street in Squirrel Hill. And I'm coming here today to call you out that you haven't lived up to your responsibility as a council. You'll say, well, why do you say that? I can remember walking into this room and using the N-word in its original form and was taken out by the officer many years ago and told it's no longer allowed. Well, wait a minute. That's only part of the problem. What we're living in is the United States of America, where our leading statement is we the people, not the brown people, the black people, the white people, the Israel, the Jewish people, but the people as a whole. When are you going to hold a meeting and set the record straight that you are not going to say any reference of any kind that relates to the subject that I'm talking about? We need a motion, and I would hope a parliamentarian would okay my presentation to call the meeting and to the city of Pittsburgh to be the first in the country to go on record to say, no, we are not going to go ahead and subscribe to anything that says that any group of people is not capable and of doing its duty. Instead, what do we have? We have violence in the street. 550 in Philadelphia shot to death in my old hometown. You're wrong, and I hope that you'll take it to heart from a person who has run for office here and who has produced $1 million or more, according to Mr. Dunham in the mayor's office, who says that I'm the guy who thought up the idea of the Management Budget Act of 2003. I know where there's 8 to 10 million more, and it's not visible. And no one is calling me and saying, Ed Yaney needs the money to go in and correct the problems.
Thank you, Mr.
I'll let you
Ludwig. Thank you.
handle the matter from there.
Next
I am
speaker, please.
available.
Thank you, Mr. Ludwig. Next speaker, please. Good morning, Ms. Brown.
My name is Yvonne F. Brown. I live in the Hill District. I live at Kaylee where Irvis Tires. I wanted to take and speak about the lady, the Native American that spoke about not bringing the convention here. I want you citizens to remember when we had the summit, like she said, we had all the different police from all the different states. We're already having problems with our police here. Now you're going to bring in from what, 40 more states? You're going to bring in all the different police that don't know us, that don't really care about us. They're here to make money. Then another thing I want to say, I come down and I know you get tired of me, but I'm on the outside looking in. And I think sometimes that you as council people, you don't think about bringing the people in on your decisions. Now you have a company, this company that's going to buy the Penguins, and they're going to take and build the park for the poor children. But where? In Shady Side? Well, how the poor kids going to get there? Do you understand? You as council people could tell them that they should call a meeting with the people and let us tell you where we think there should be a park for poor children, not in Shady Side where the mayor lives. I want you to understand, I come down because you have our money. You make the decision with the money. That's the only reason why I come, because you shouldn't be able to do some of the things you just do with our money. You do it like you want. I still am upset about getting buses for the drunks down at 2nd Avenue that they could go to to the bar, get drunk, you bring them back. But I live at the top of the hill and can't get to Mercy Hospital on a bus. There's a woman that's muscular dystrophy, Frances, she lives on Caldwell. She has to walk to the hospital. Do you understand? Okay, you'll say, give you access, you have to buy those tickets. So why should I be able to get on the bus free with a bus pass because I'm 75? And this woman is 50-something, handicapped, and must walk to the hospital. Do you understand? But you can get a bus for the drunks, Mr. Kraus. I remember that. I remember how upset I was, the drunks. Then you bring the drunks back down to 2nd Avenue for the drunks to go out into their neighborhood to kill. Remember, they're drunk now. Remember that. But I can't get to the hospital because of my handicap. I have been walking until my daughter started taking me because we don't have a bus. I must go into town, get on the bus with all these people, and I have health problems. I have no business on the bus.
Thank you, Ms. Brown. Seeing no further speakers, we'll move on to our next order of business, which is the presentation of papers. And we'll begin with Councilman Reverend Ricky Burgess, Chair of Urban Recreation. Good morning. Thank you, Councilman. And Councilman Coghill, Chair of Public Works.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Gross, Chair of Intergovernmental Affairs. Sean?
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. And Councilman Kraus, Chair of Human Resources.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. And Councilman Lavelle, Chair of Finance and Law. Thank you, Councilman. Good morning.
Councilman Lavelle presents Bill number 15, resolution authorizing the issuance of a warrant in favor of Daniel Dellingbach in the amount of $7,500 in full and final settlement of litigation.
Thank you. And Councilman O'Connor, Chair of Public Safety Services.
Thank you, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman.
Councilman O'Connor presents Bill number 16, resolution authorizing the mayor and director of the Department of Public Safety to make expenditures and enter on behalf of the city into a professional services agreement with third-party entities, including the Poise Foundation for services related to the administration of $1,950,050 of funds from the city's Stop the Violence Fund to third parties at an overall cost not to exceed $2 million, $49,950 of which will compensate the Poise Foundation for its services.
Thank you. And Councilwoman Strasburger, Chair of Innovation, Performance, and Asset Management.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilwoman. Good morning. And Councilman Wilson, Chair of Land Use and Economic Development.
No new papers, Madam President.
Thank you, Councilman. Good morning.
Morning.
And myself, a Chair of Hearings. I have no new papers. And we'll now move on to any unfinished business. Is there any unfinished business before council? Seeing none, the next order of business is reports of committee for final action. Thank you, Councilman Kraus, Committee on Human Resource Services.
Thank you, Madam
The only
President.
bill we have today.
Councilman Kraus presents Bill number 14, report of the Committee on Human Resources for January 5th, 2022, with an affirmative recommendation. Bill number 11, resolution amending Resolution 322, which authorized the mayor and director of the Department of Human Resources and Civil Service to enter into an agreement with Integrated Health 21 LLC for services relating to the administration and management of a wellness portal by extending the term for 3 years and increasing the not to exceed amount by $483,240.
Thank you. You've heard the reading of the title of the bill. Is there any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, the bill is now ready for final action. All in favor of passage will vote aye when the name is called. Those opposed will vote no. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Reverend Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Coghill.
Aye.
Ms. Gross.
Aye.
Mr. Kraus.
Aye.
Mr. Lavelle.
Aye.
Mr. O'Connor.
Aye.
Ms. Strasburger.
Aye.
Mr. Wilson.
Aye.
Mrs. Cal Smith, President.
Aye.
Ayes 9, no 0.
The bill having received the legally required number of votes is finally passed. And that moves us on to motions and resolutions. I have a few meeting announcements. With sessions at 1 and 2 p.m., council will hold a briefing to meet the president and CEO of Gateway Health, arranged by Councilman Lavelle. Thank you, Councilman. Also, this evening at 6 p.m., council will host a cablecast public hearing relative to the proposed annexation of Wilkinsburg Borough. To register to speak, please fill out the sign-up form on the council meeting webpage by 3 p.m. today. You may also call the city clerk's office at 412-255-2138. Tomorrow, Wednesday, January 12th at 10 a.m., council will hold our standing committee meeting. To register to speak, please fill out the sign-up form on the council meeting webpage by 9 a.m. Wednesday morning. You may also call the city clerk's office at 412-255-2138. Also, tomorrow afternoon at 1:30 p.m., council will host a cablecast public hearing on Bill 2124 as it relates to Pittsburgh Theological Seminary institutional master plan. To register to speak, please fill out the sign-up form on the council meeting webpage by 11:30 a.m. on Wednesday morning. You may also call the city clerk's office at 412-255-2138. Is there anything from members? I know Councilman Colkill, you want to give a moment of silence for Naomi Mullins' husband, Mike Mullen. Did you want to do that now?
I would, and I would like to just speak quickly on it. You know, he was a retired firefighter. You know, he fought like hell for this Bon Air school.
Yeah.
And I pledged to his wife, Naomi, who we all know from calling in, that not to give up that fight and to make sure that we see through with this community as to what we can do there that's acceptable to everybody. So God bless her and her family. And again, I appreciate the moment of silence.
Thank you. Thank you. Can we have a moment of silence? Okay. And I also want to just say, just to that, on that same subject, that both Naomi and her husband, Mike, were Pittsburgh firefighters, and they did a lot for that entire area and for Pittsburgh Public Schools. I want to thank them both for their and offer our
Also,
condolences.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to hold a post agenda on the annexation of Wilkinsburg.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
Very brief. Do you have, Councilman, do you have an understanding of who the invitees might be? Is it a data-driven discussion?
It is absolutely data-driven. I was surprised to see we're having a public hearing on this before we have the facts in front of us. So regardless of where the facts come from and who paid for it, I feel it's our responsibility at least to see what the financial picture looks like overall. I am unable to attend the public hearing this evening. I just felt it was backwards. I think we should know what we're looking at before we hear from the public. So yeah, and I do have a list of guests, you know, and I'm open to anybody who may want to put somebody on that list as well. But yes, it will be fact-driven, financial forecast for the entire thing.
Yep. Thank you.
So I'm going to add to that, but I'll add to it at the end. I'll wait till other members. Is there anybody else have anything to say? Okay, so well, let's vote in favor. Do we all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstention? Okay, it's approved, and we'll work with you on that.
Great.
But anything else from members about anything else? So I would just say about the annexation of Wilkinsburg, I've been talking to our county exec and made it clear that I think it was the process that we have a lot of concern with. And I will just say again, we have a lot of concern. We had a post agenda. We called the controller to the table. If anybody should have numbers, should be able to provide those, it should have been our controller, or it should be that we were approached with people, independent numbers. I want numbers that are given to us, I apologize, by the public, by people that are paid to serve the public for these positions. I don't necessarily want to hear that somebody's being paid or that some organization received money from somebody we don't know of, or the source of that funding, which we may once we review their 990s or federal documents. I don't want to know that they're paying for something that for an outcome that we don't know. I don't trust numbers. I remember Darlene Harris used to say all the time, figures lie and, or what was the saying?
Liar's figure.
Liars figure and figures lie. That's what she said. And so I'll never forget her comments because
will never
it was true for a lot of things. And I don't know that how that relates to all this and the numbers we're hearing and numbers we're seeing. But what we're hearing is that the numbers won't even be available probably until later this year. So the real numbers and what that means to Pittsburgh Public Schools, which we have seemed to have left out of this whole entire conversation about the impact it will have to them as well. So I'm just going to say, I'm willing to have conversations. I'm not willing to belabor this forever and ever. We've had our post agendas. We've had our public hearings. We're having another public hearing. And I think with what we aren't having are conversations with the people involved where we can say, hey, these are our concerns and what is the real impact to the city of Pittsburgh residents, the people we're elected to represent. So for me, that's how I feel about it all. That's why one of the reasons I called for another hearing, because I felt like we did not hear enough from our residents. So hopefully today we hear from some of them. But if we don't, I feel like we've given every opportunity. It's time for us to have some discussions. And that's what I said to the county exec. Instead of sitting down with the CDC, sit down with the elected officials that represent the city of Pittsburgh and Wilkinsburg. Anything else from members? Seeing none, can I have a motion to excuse the absent member, adjourn the meeting? No, there's no absent members. Adjourn approve the minutes and adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.